Welcome to tonight's 3Ds with Reverend Tiny, live and direct and in the flesh. Thank you.
Hey everybody, this is Laura Nicole Haldane, your producer. And we're just stopping through this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you find this video, to let you know that there is still space available for booking with our recovery life coach, Reverend Tiny. So whenever you get a chance, go ahead and scroll down to our description and find our email and go ahead and book your appointment today. On today's episode of the 3Ds, we are working with our major arcana, the magician. So let's get into this 50 years of hip hop, the crack epidemic, and the trauma left behind.
Okay, and I just want to bring out that we did change the title because of my signature course, 3Ds, no dick, no dope, no donuts, and the fool's journey. And it's so relatable. Just follow along with me, fam. So last week we talked about the fool, and this is called the fool's journey and how that journey transpired. And the fool meets 22 major arcana archetypes of personalities and egos, right? So last week the fool meets the magician. When it turns into the magician, or as the fool turns to the magician for advice, it's all about being resourceful. The magic of making things happen in your manifestation. And you look, he has a table with all the things he needs: a bowl for an offering, his staff, or a wand, abracadabra, bibbity boppity boop. Just imagine and embody that spirit. But when I think about the magician, I think about how I've gotten out of trouble where I just said, no, this is not what I want to be. This is not what I want. And changing my mind, especially when the 50 years of hip hop and that epidemic, this was a crime placed upon our people. We had to change how I live. I had to work magic in my life, whether I was dealing with institutions, whether I was doing with in my professional life. I always had to transform and transmute the poison that was being polluted in my community every day. And this is why the fool meeting the magician is so powerful, because it's the alchemy
Mm.
of self and the alchemy of willingness and drive and tenacity. Because sometimes you got to break down barriers, walls where they're placed upon you, and sometimes you don't know what you got to do or what you're going to go through. So having the mindset of never giving up, having the mindset that I can, having that mindset that we can together, and teamwork makes the dream work. Being resourceful, pulling a rabbit out of your hat, is definitely the magi. I appreciate the magician in my life because there's so many times that I could just really reflect on whether it was good or bad, where using my mind to just take me to a happier place, take me to a better place, take me to an inner knowing where I had to pray, I had to supplicate, just keep on petitioning the spirit to move me to do better in my life, to elevate to a next level. And I really think about the magician when I drove across the country in a two-seater across the country, and I made it without a flat tire, without my car overheating, without a ticket, knowing that it was a 6 speed. I knew that spirit was with me, and that's another sign that work your magic. Whatever you
Mm.
have, keep praying, work your magic, and know that you can. Know that spirit will guide you if you just ask. And here today, where I'm at and where I'm living, I know I was the magi in my own life with such a great transition, where 2 years ago I would have never thought that I would be where I'm at today, living in a beautiful apartment and surrounding and water and being able to have my own schedule. That's magic.
Mm.
That's magic. And being an underdog, nobody thought I would make it.
Mm.
Nobody thought I would make it. My family doubted me. My children doubted me. My co-workers, probably doubted me. I don't know because I never really cared what they thought, but it's the state, right? It was all about what I wanted. And I've always wanted a better life for myself. That's why I found myself in being a diesel mechanic. And,
Mm.
that trade, I always wanted better. I found myself back at school in my 40s and into my 50s. Matter of fact, before I came here, I was in a course trying to still finish my degree. Never give up and never give up hope because you can if you just keep on. And this is really, I think, really motivational because everybody is somewhere in their life and everybody has a different life path. But we have to continue to work our own magic. We can't wait for somebody to give us a hand or always dependent on somebody or the enablers who always just, okay, well here's this and here's that. We have to work for it. And that's what I found in my own life was the lesson that I had to work for whatever I want. And whatever I want is worth working for. Then I appreciated it. When I brought my first ticket to Africa, I brought it. I didn't get a loan, I didn't get a handout. I wasn't begging my big sissy. All of the old behaviors had dissipated in my life, and I truly reflected and seen how I had become anew with working my magic for myself. What else could I say about the magician? The sun will come out, staying in the power, staying in my own lane, not worrying about what anybody else got to say or what they doing. Wearing my crystals, wearing my head wrap, which I got on today, being in covering, but being enmeshed and in love with myself. That's the magic in my life.
Mm. How do you make that step from where we were last week, the first beginning process of realizing that you're the fool who's on a journey? How do you make that step into the magician? What's that process look like?
Jumping. It's really
Mm.
embodying the full and knowing that you don't know nothing and taking that leap towards faith and
Mm.
just going. And what I appreciate about the fool is that he only carries or she only carries a hobo sack. And in the other tarot decks, but this is the African tarot deck, so it's a little bit, the illustration is a little bit different. And I don't have a set of tarot cards, another set to really show you, but you can look it up. They're often the Rider Waite deck. It's the original illustration with a little boy, which is the youthful side of being a full innocence. That's what we get with the full. And that hobo sack and a puppy to, keep him on course because he's almost about to step off of the cliff, right? So that's one translation. But how it relates to us is take that leap of faith. There
Mm.
is no fear with the full. And that's like a good and a bad thing because like a child will, put his hand on the stove. You really don't know. It has to find out.
Mm.
So it's not about this is good and this is bad. It's exploration, exploring at its best, and the innocence of it. Because when you know better, you do better. So you're not being judged, and you're not self-criticizing yourself, judgmental. Open, honest, innocence, yeah, comes up as the full. And then when you're open and your mind is open to receive different information and different ideas, you can work that magic. If you have a dogmatic mindset where you're not open to listen to anybody and take for religion, for example. Some people are not willing to hear about other ideas of religion or principles or practices. Being open, being open to hear somebody's idea. That's magic.
Mm. One last question, just to make a connecting point. We talked about traveling in a six-speeder. Can you just connect the dots for us a little bit about taking risks?
I didn't hear you.
I said, giving us an opportunity to. Can you hear me now?
No sound.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I don't know what you mean by. I didn't hear you, LaSalle Avenue.
Siri came on for some reason. Now I can hear you. You see? So they're
Oh, okay.
listening.
Well, all right. Thank you, Spirit. Well, I wanted to make it one connecting, just draw one connecting line. You talked about the risk it took to take that six-speeder and drive it across country. That was during the crack epidemic time, right?
That was 2 years ago.
Nick, oh wait. Gotta catch myself.
So as we,
So I'm
we could
just
go
curious
back.
about how the magician helped, or this idea or this archetype of the magician helped you during this sort of 50 years of hip hop with the crack epidemic and the trauma, that's essentially was left behind.
I'm gonna keep it real lightweight. I had to get myself out a lot of different predicaments and literally working magic. So
Mm.
if something happened, I feel like I'm giving my secrets away, but I would put my hands up over somebody's eyes and disappear. Or I would touch them in certain spots and allow them to fall asleep so I could get away. So when you have to work magic, or when I was traveling, I always did something, a prayer of protection. I often drove long distances, and it was definitely magical, right? So I'm not going to take away any of the aspects of 50 years in hip hop, because listening to those, my favorite rap songs while I was driving, kept me alert and able to keep it pushing. But then when I think about E40 and a lot of the motivational things that he spoke, and um, KSR1 and Fight the Power, just little stuff, I knew that I wasn't going to be doing driving on these streets like that, or being in the streets like that. Yes, traveling and gang peeping gang, it wasn't really my lane. So I stayed in my lane just enough to navigate, to do what I do, and did what I did, right? We go one of those, but always keeping it PI. He's so crazy.
All right, y'all. That's our segment for 50 years of hip hop, crack epidemic, and the trauma left behind. Make sure you catch us next week with our next major arcana as we are embarking on the Fool's Journey. Our next arcana is going to be the High Priestess. That should be a real good one. But in the meantime, between time, we're going to head into our second segment with our elements of this particular course, 3D'S: no dick, no dope, no donuts. And as we head into that session, we want to make sure that we remind you of the services of Black Jewel Tarot reading. You heard a little bit about the magicians. Let's hear about what Spirit has to offer you. And in that way in which you could hear, what we want to do is be able to offer you an opportunity to have your own personal service in that. And so, what does that mean? That means that you get an opportunity to be present with the messages that are directly and intentionally for you. How you get in contact with us and how you book those appointments is going to be in the description below. So go ahead and shoot us an email and say you're interested in the Black Jewel Tarot reading services, and say exactly, you know what I mean, what times are you available, and you can figure out how to fit you in. All right, we on to our second segment. Let's get us together. Elements of this particular course.
Well, thank you, Elle, for that. I really appreciate it. So, one of my favorite things to do is radical forgiveness. Radical forgiveness is a process of just letting go. We think about a situation, we write about the situation, we deep dive, then we reframe, and then we let go. I'm not going to go through a long process because we're not in a workshop. But what I want to offer is the audiences to invite a time where they had to become the magician, write it out, reflect on it, hit me up in an email, let's process together. And that's going to be free this week. It's something that I want to give back to the people to really get to know me and get to utilize my services and try me out. And radical forgiveness, if you want to know more, just what I said, think about a situation, journal about it, reflect, reframe it, and then we didact from it. And we get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, and we let it go. And it could be anything, a loss of a loved one, a divorce, a loss of a job, an injury. For me, my radical forgiveness was just, for example, I have many of them, but tonight it was when I had surgery. I was paralyzed from the waist down in a wheelchair, and that wreaked havoc on my whole family. And I had to learn acceptance during that period, and I had to learn forgiveness because I couldn't wash myself, I couldn't wash my hair, I needed help dressing, and my children just didn't want to do it. My husband at that time, he missed work to be at appointments, and it was okay to receive help. I had to learn to just receive help. I was always resisting and always doing everything for everybody, but when I needed, it was hard for me to accept help. And then I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed, right? Getting over that embarrassment, I had to really forgive myself, ask God to help me. So I called in the Spirit, I called in the Most High to really reflect. And this is a process that I'm still healing from, but I'm getting stronger and stronger. And what I want to leave you with is that you can get stronger wherever you're weak, you can become strong, and together we can. One more time. Okay. Okay.
That was so powerful. So can we get like maybe just one little small little piece, a little snack, a little bit of something to take home with, to chew on a little bit, maybe one question or something, like, I don't know. Can we get a little bit of something that we can go home with, practice?
Mirroring and self-reflection. You said a practice, you want a meditation practice?
Like, if mirroring is one, are you saying that we need to be sitting in front of the mirror? Are you saying there's a question that I can write? Is there a prompt that I can go home with?
We didn't discuss this, and of course there's a prompt. Yes, all in all, we knew he was gonna say, and
Spirit lead. We'll let spirit lead. But listen, I got questions. I want to know. It was so good. It's just so juicy. What can I add? Can I get just a little bit more?
yes, of course you can. Journal this question, and I love questions, and that's why I'm laughing because I got a journal and a book full of them, right?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, where do you need to forgive your own self and how you showed up? So, how I showed up and where do I need to forgive myself?
Mm,
And then ask again, pray about it,
mm,
journal about it, 5 to 10 minutes. And then this affirmation: I am good enough, I am worthy, I am safe, and all good comes to me easily.
mm. All good comes to me easily.
Remember,
Where did I show up?
uh,
How did I show up? Where can I forgive myself? And all good comes to me easily.
And remember last week it was, I'm open and ready to receive all the yumminess that the universe has for me.
Mm, I love this continuation. So you're being open and then you're kind of accepting. Hmm.
When you're in flight and fight all of your life, I became resistant. I didn't know how to receive. I didn't know how to receive love. I didn't know how to receive um, respect, especially with all the derogatory things that I'd listened to in my genre of music. It's really turning poison into medicine when we think about it, that all that the crimes on our people that we went through, you gotta work magic up in here because you ain't gonna get through it. It's jails, institutions, or death. That's what they promote on a daily,
More parts.
right?
Literally.
Definitely.
All right, well, we've reached the end. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, welcome,
And
welcome.
I want you to like maybe put in a plug for, I know we didn't discuss this, but I want you to put a plug in for your meditation because it's going to be in the description. But I think, just after having this particular conversation, it might be helpful to just mention it.
SOS Lifeline Meditations is where I drop a line for you to live. These are meditations that I utilize personally every day to heal. And I gave you an example of when I had surgery. This was the most profound time in my life, the most hardest time in my life. And I said, I don't wish this pain on my worst enemy. That's how much pain I was in. And then I had to work on my heart because it became cold and hard-hearted because I was angry that I was in this condition. When I say come home and let go, we have to. Lifeline, SOS, Lifeline Meditations is revolutionary. You'll never experience anything like this before because I deal with the life organs, the heart, the liver, the bladder, the kidneys, the spleen, the blood. I do oxygen breathing where we're going to breathe and alleviate all of these angst and get the knots out of our system. It's 2 times a week, Monday and Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Shout out to Cali. Hey, Sacramento, sick with it. Macramento Queen. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. My Macramento queens and kings, come kick it with me on these meditations. We have to learn. We got to start, and we got to start somewhere. And I'm just the one to show you because I done been through the trenches, and I made it out. So I'm with my fam, all day, every day, every day,
Hey, every day.
every day.
All right, man. Well, I hope to see you all there. We have put the meditations meeting ID and password in the description below. So make sure you navigate down there to find all the information that you need in order to link up with us and continue to learn and grow. And with that, we'll have our outro. Go ahead, Jewel.
Reverend Tiny. We're not the fool, and we're working on magic. And next week we'll touch on the high priestess. And it's all about intuition, letting it flow. This is Reverend Tiny, 3Ds, no dick, no dope, no donuts. Holler at your girl. I'm open and I'm ready to receive y'all with love and no judgment. Email, all the descriptions is out below. Like my producer Elle said, give her a shout out. She's really been navigating with me. Thank you.
Lauren Nicole Haldane and Reverend Tiny.
Yeah.
We
So,
out here. We got lots of different names, but those names we're going by this time around.
right. I was almost getting ready to say something, man.
Hey, as
All right.
always, it's been such a pleasure.
It's
Reverend Tiny,
fun.
always, man.
Yeah. Hmm. All right. Thank you.